It's the best of the rest. Time to put them to the test. In case your memory is hazy, it's Blaxploitation, baby. This is Black History Month, a 29-day celebration of Black exploitation films.
The Education of Sonny Carson is one of those movies that I've heard about from a bunch of other places, long before I ever saw the movie. Lines from the movie have been sampled from a number of hip-hop albums, and the first one that comes to mind for me is the opening to All That I Got Is You by Ghostface Killah. With education in the title, I bet you think this is something to do with school or college or something, but nah, this movie is about street smarts. Released in 1974 and directed by Michael Campus, the same man who directed The Mac, The Education of Sonny Carson, believe it or not, is a biopic. It's based on a book of the same name, written by a man of the same name. I've never read the book, so I can't say how accurate the film is, but I can tell you that the movie chooses to focus on the early part of Sonny Carson's life, rather than the later years, where he became a civil rights activist and a controversial figure. The movie even omits his military career. So with all that missing, what's left? The Education of Sonny Carson stars Ronnie Clanton as Sonny Carson. He was briefly in Claudine as a dice player, but he's probably more recognized as the guy who got that package in Death by Temptation. Well, he plays older Sonny anyway. Before we get there, we see that young Sonny is a smart and educated kid, but despite that, still falls in with the wrong crowd and ends up a juvenile delinquent after a botched robbery. Going to juvie does absolutely nothing to change his outlook on life, and it actually makes things worse because Sonny meets and befriends another kid named Willie, who tells him to meet up with and join his gang immediately after being released. Sonny does just that, and after a brutal initiation, we fast forward to older Sonny, who's now become the leader. The name of the gang is the Lords, but it doesn't say they're Vice Lords. They could be whatever Lords you want them to be. Let's call them Golden Lords. Nah, they're too young for that. Junior Lords. Yeah, that's better. The Junior Lords have beef with a rival gang called the Hawks, and most of the film is dedicated to this gang war. The movie uses a combination of actors and real gang members, and it's not hard to tell who is who. Your actors like Clanton are more polished, despite this being his first major role, but your real gang members, well, they sound like this.
Fight fair, you know how they do. They know if little boy gonna whip that boy Wolf, you know they gonna try to jump in, man. Might take out your man, kill them motherfuckers, man.
But I actually don't think that's a bad thing. It makes the scenes feel real, like a movie that just happened to show up to a gang meeting, not the other way around. I only wish the gang's history and place in the community was shown and touched on a little more. Every time they're on screen, they come across as so interesting. The organization of it all amazes me. They all have matching jackets with their gang name on it, they have a hierarchy, they participate in parades and stuff, and they even have rules of engagement. Look how they line up on the battlefield like it's the French Revolution or something. They even send the generals out to discuss the terms. I would have loved to get more of this, but I think the movie might have been handicapped by the book. It feels like maybe the autobiography didn't provide nearly enough to work with for the length of the movie they wanted. And as a result, the movie is padded out with all kinds of extracurricular stuff that hurts the pacing and the narrative in my opinion. We get long scenes where there's people singing whole songs, pastors preaching entire sermons. The aforementioned parade is disrespectfully long. But scenes like where Sonny's friends are discussing their hopes and dreams outside of the community are short and underwritten. Not to give too much away, but the story does pick up considerably right before and after Sonny goes back to prison, but by that point, it feels too little too late. I think it needed more balance between Sonny's personal life and the gang stuff. Sonny gets a girlfriend named Virginia, who's played by Joyce Walker, who was also Passion in Willie Dynamite. But after the initial meeting, she disappears for half the movie, only appearing again at a pivotal moment. Then there are scenes with Sonny's father, played by the great Paul Benjamin. He's acting circles around everybody in this movie, but he only gets like 2 or 3 appearances. It sounds like I'm nitpicking, but The Education of Sonny Carson is actually a good movie. It definitely wears its budget on its sleeve, but it finds clever ways to work around it and deliver a touching story by the end. The gang stuff may dominate it, but it was clearly the most influential aspect of the film, just based on how many times the lines have been referenced. You can also see how it influenced other movies like The Warriors. I say watch it at least to see the source of all the references, but stick around for the education.